Hey everyone, my name is Paulette.
My name is Róża. I'm originally from Poland.
My name is Anna and I am 26 from Australia.
Hi, my name's Andrea.
What are you afraid you'll feel if you just stop moving?
Stillness as a portal, not a prison.
Interesting, because I do always move.
Maybe loneliness, boredom.
Yeah, there was a time in my life that I stopped moving, and I was like before so much in the masculine energy and just action, action, action. That was like due to life circumstances. So I was like disconnected from my feminine energy that is just flowing and that is not just putting so much attention into doing. And then obviously like some beautiful techniques like Vipassana came to my life where I just couldn't sit at the beginning. I was like, wow, it felt so uncomfortable. But then what I found in stillness is my true strength.
Not doing anything, like not creating art, not socializing, maybe not watching a funny meme or video. The thing I'm afraid most of is feeling bored, feeling lonely, feeling incomplete.
Yeah, I've always felt like an inability to, not inability, maybe a discomfort with staying in one place because I feel as if there's so much, maybe I feel there's so much more to experience or something different that I can be experiencing. So maybe I'm afraid I will feel like I'm limited, or maybe I'll feel as if I'm not like living to my fullest expression.
So yes, I was afraid I will feel all my emotions slapping my face when I will slow down or just stop moving. And it exactly happened. But I feel that this is like a path to connect to yourself, back to yourself, back to your true self, back to your authenticity, to your expression. So it's a big process, but it's so worth it, I feel.
That maybe there's something out there that I don't know about yet, or like I can just keep. Sometimes potentially moving for me is well, that's what I'm doing, and therefore it's okay that I haven't like worked on maybe specific skills or things, and maybe if I'm still, I feel that I haven't, that I'm not capable of like achieving skills or progression in stability as well. Yeah, I think it's a lot of things.
Have you ever laughed just to keep from crying?
Joy as armor.
It's interesting because I feel quite comfortable with feeling sad on my own, and I do have like a contentment of, or like obviously to the extent that I have experienced, like feel that I can feel all my emotions to their depth when it's just me. But if I am around others or with others, I feel as if my emotions will then be like taken on by them, and I don't want to have to deal with that. Like it's like I don't need them to feel that or hold that. So I'll yeah, like if I am in a moment where I need to cry.
Many times, and not only laugh, but just wear the masks of like, hey, I'm good, yeah, well, let's do the stuff, like, let's have fun. But that was far from what I was truly feeling. So I was completely disconnecting myself from feeling deeply all my emotions to just sweep them away for a minute, just numb myself so that I just don't feel it. So it was, yes, it was laugh, it was just partying, it was like doing so many things that weren't me. I was just doing this in the sake of numbing myself, basically, and laugh was one of it. It was helping for a moment. Sometimes you just forget a little bit of endorphins, but long term, yeah, it's gonna come out anyways.
Laugh to prevent crying.
Yeah.
Yes, probably.
Is it a theme at all?
Not a common theme, no.
Not intentionally. I think a lot of people do, actually. I think it's a mechanism to laugh instead of feeling deep sadness sometimes. For me, I'm the type that isn't afraid to actually cry. If I'm feeling like it's an authentic need of expression, I would just cry. So I'm sure in the past I've laughed as a mechanism to hide pain or hide sadness or hide deep emotion that might result in crying. But I wouldn't say joy as armor very consistently.
Then it's easier to brush it off and laugh to regain the connection and move on. Probably. And then I'm like, I can just deal with that when I'm on my own and don't need to completely let go right now. And somehow laughing usually works to stop crying. So yes, definitely feel that.
So now I decided to cry more sometimes instead of just putting myself to unnatural state. I mean, mostly.
When did you first learn that being fun made you lovable?
Charm as survival.
Probably as a child, just having fun and not taking life too seriously. I guess you learn that as a child. And makes me love life, so makes me more lovable.
I might have learned this from my mom, actually. My mom is very loud, very funny, extremely extroverted. She was always like the fun mom. And I think I probably learned that from her. Like being fun made me cool, or being fun and loud made me likable. So probably from a young age.
In my teenage life, definitely, when you just want to be accepted by the group, when you just don't want to be alone because it's scary, um, when we are constantly in a survival mode. This is like from time perspective, this is how I see it. I was in a survival mode. I was like not even close to be my true self. I was just wearing the masks that were, okay, today this one because this is the vibe, tomorrow that one because this is the vibe.
Yeah, I feel like at school, I was always making fun as a way to maybe deflect from the fact that I wasn't maybe as skilled, like say in sport. I wouldn't actually try to be good at sport. I would just think that I'll probably get more connection through being really silly and stupid, and then all my friends will laugh and I can just say like I don't really care about sport. Or I remember in dance, I would always just just be super silly and never try, never really built my coordination or skill. And I was actually quite academic at school and then didn't probably want to be grouped into all of the other kids that were academic. And so, yeah, being loud and being like the one that was, that the teachers would call out, I would get attention. Friends would, I felt like I was seen and heard, even if I was being laughed at it in a connection way. So definitely from a really young age.
And it's put it here, charm as a survival. It was my tool. And I was the one in the group that was like always like so sociable here and there, but I was suffering inside. And back then I wasn't really connected to that. Then I understood that I'm people pleaser. I'm using my my laugh, my fun, and this natural way of being, because that was sort of natural way of being. I mean, I like joy, I like to have fun, I like to make people happy, but it didn't come from the healthy space back then. Now it's coming from a healthy space. I'm a fun person when I feel it, but I am a sad person when I'm feeling it. And it's beautiful that we're living in a community that embrace it all. That I can be in my worst time and I can come over and I know that I will be accepted as I am, and I don't need to be whoever I thought I am before. So yeah, definitely this one is also a big one.
I was just like the class clown or the something. Probably I can see now as definitely a distraction from, yeah, like vulnerability, of like trying anything new, of who I really was. Because I also grew up in a like strict Catholic family, and that came with a lot of stigma of being like a goody two shoes, or you know, you can't, like, you're just stuck in a box, and I always wanted to distract from that and get out of that. So being really silly has always been my tool. Same, obviously, through uni and friends. And I feel as if now I have to remind myself that I'm not responsible for being that in every environment, because sometimes I am tired or I don't have energy for someone and I'm somewhere and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to make this fun. Otherwise I'm not like seen or heard in this. Like, I can't just be as I am. I just have to like make a joke or be like, let's do this, or like have something. And if I am feeling blank, I'm like, oh no, like, oh yeah. So I think being fun, yeah, can definitely rate my feelings of worth. I also love being fun, maybe.
Number 4, do you ever feel like you're always one step ahead of sadness?
The chase
I
behind.
probably try to be, yes.
Yeah.
Don't want to feel sad.
Yeah, I think probably currently feeling that balance of, I can feel really sad, but I'm already have all the reasons of why I shouldn't be, in a way. Like, if I'm feeling weighed down by, say, a family member, I already know maybe what I would say to someone else whilst I'm sad. And so I'm like, yeah, I can feel like, okay, I know that it's all right, or I know that I can't hold myself accountable for that, or like I've got all the reasons why I should feel better in my head, and have to remind myself to just feel it. And that's why I think, relating to the other card of like maybe laughing off sadness when in company, it's like when I am sad and I'm with people and then they feel like they have things to say, it's like I feel like I already know it, like I don't want to sound like.
I think I have different cycles in my life. I think sometimes I feel like I'm maybe in a period of like grief and I'm like going through that stage and I'm deeply in it. And then sometimes where I'm not feeling that, I'm just like really focusing on work or my creative projects or relationships or travels. I want to say one step ahead of sadness though.
Not anymore. And that's so beautiful to express it, actually, like with so much conviction at the moment. Because I was trying to control my emotions a lot, because we are taught to be this way, that way. You be a good girl, you don't do that, you don't do this. And this is how we lose our wildness.
I don't know everything, obviously. I know nothing, but I don't need what their input is. Mostly I just need to feel it because I'm already in my head about the input. Like I already am trying to tell myself it's okay. Or if someone says, an example, feeling like I have to take care of one of my siblings, and then someone goes, oh, well, that's not your responsibility. It's like, I know that. I don't need to hear it, but I still feel sad. And that's already always in my head. So yeah, I think I'm still figuring out the balance of trying not to feel one step ahead, but I do always, and then trying to rein it back and be like, I can just feel sad and not always have an answer or a comfort of myself. Yeah. I don't know if this is making sense.
Perfect sense. That's great.
So I used to be very much like controlling about how I am feeling, about not exploding in not the right moment, in like not sharing my emotions because this is not the space, or just sweeping away all that I was truly feeling, thinking that, oh, anger, this is not welcome, this is not welcome, that emotion is not welcome. And now I know that all emotions are welcome. So instead of being a step ahead of sadness, I embrace the sadness in the moment. When it comes, it comes. I welcome it, and I welcome it with grace, not with like, hey, I'll show you. No, with grace, because it's part of my existence. I'm grateful for being sad now. And it's beautiful in general to feel all this variety of emotions. So that was an old version of myself.
What's the pain you've never given yourself time to feel?
Probably boredom. Just the moment it happens, I escape. Just like I just cannot sink into boredom.
Because my journey, I feel, on this planet, in this body, is a lot about embracing the loss. I lost a lot of my loved ones, including my parents, and I realized that I didn't give myself permission to feel grief fully. Again, because of the life circumstances, but I pretended that it's just all right, it is what it is, which is part of it is true, it is what it is. Yes, that's the life happening.
Yeah, it probably links to a lot of the, having the fun and optimism to kind of live in most of the time. I think there is, and part of that probably is a lot of facade of like always being confident and always being like sure of myself, whereas I feel like, there is probably parts of myself at a young age that felt not enough or felt ridiculed.
The feeling of loneliness when I'm trying to pretend that everything is okay. Because I don't, yeah, I can feel that.
But that also has probably given me some of the best gifts. Whenever there's a moment of boredom and I'm in the boredom, a new idea or a new inspiration would come, and that would just evolve into this creative, cool project that I'd be super excited from. So I've never really sat with boredom. I never just let it unfold. Once it comes up, I use that as inspiration for something new.
But the emotions that are there, which are like very heavy emotions when you're losing parents, they were too heavy to me to feel it fully. So recently, due to many different techniques, many different tools, I am digging it deep to discover that there is still so much also anger connected to that, and grief unexpressed and not felt yet.
However, I could never show insecurity because I felt that would be like weak. So I've probably never, I try, and I don't know whether this is like self-protection or avoidance or disconnect. But yeah, that pain of maybe not truly being enough, which I think unfortunately is a shared human experience. And I guess recently a pain can be like, so it comes from so many places. And maybe that's the grief of not also giving myself time to I think what comes up a lot for me, which I feel like is having that time to be still in order to build creative passion or direction or skill. And that's a grief for me that I'm trying to remind myself that I can start whenever. But a grief of, which for me ties into not being enough, is just, have I actually pushed myself to my fullest potential in terms of allowing myself the time and energy to express through, whether it's like a medium of music and actually spending time and knowing that art really well, or whether it's art in terms of like drawing or painting or writing, because I feel like my words are, I enjoy words, but I've never given time and energy to developing that. And that's a massive part of my insecurities that don't make me feel enough, but then I don't feel like I can be insecure. And then I grieve maybe what I could have built or the skills I could have built.
But I'm curious what's behind that boredom, what's behind that loneliness, that emptiness, that nothingness.
When do your many options start to feel like an escape hatch, not a gift?
Freedom turned frantic.
It's a very fine line. Wow, it's super fine line between, like filling up your schedule, your life agenda, your daily agenda, and actually let yourself live your life to the fullest. I have a feeling. So it's a beautiful example here. There is so many events. Everything is just happening in parallel. You're choosing. You need to choose because there is too much of everything. And then you can really. I was caught recently into just filling up the calendar instead of like putting my energy where my energy, is welcomed or is needed at the moment. I was just jumping from one event to another, and then my body told me, slow down, I'll give you a little bit of sickness, so like, chill down.
Well, now I'm in India. I've been here for a few weeks, and I realize it's time to leave Dharamshala, Bagzu, where I'm currently located, where we're filming this right now. And just 2 days ago, I'm like, okay, it's time to get out of here. Where do I go? So I opened up my computer, and I'm like, okay, where are the tickets? Where can I fly out of here for under a certain budget? So I was just looking, and I was like looking at my options, and there was excitement there. But then a part of me was also like, do I really want to go all the way to Kerala where I'm actually flying to in a few hours.
They feel like an escape hatch when there's no, I feel like indecisiveness holds me hostage, because I then can't feel grounded in a decision. So I have lots of, I mean, a really recent example, I live in Australia. I had a job for 2 years, stopped my job, knew I wanted to do something else, had like 50 tabs open of 3 browsers. One was like travel destinations, one was like different study options, and one was like workaways, live abroads, whatever. And I have a long-term partner who was staying at home, so I was also in the whole indecision of, is this a limitation or is it a calling? And every like type of indecision that you could possibly imagine was in my mind, and that felt like, the endless choices is it can feel like you're paralyzed then to make one because you have too many. And then also I feel like this one was a time where I was able to question, well, why are you seeking that? Whereas I think definitely in my life previously, it's just like what kind of invigorates me initially, and what kind of, in a way of like dopamine hits of just like, this is exciting, or this is new, this is different, and I would just go for it. Whereas this time I was really questioning, okay, is traveling a way for you to feel like you're doing something exciting, a way to feel like you're using your time wisely, and it sounds cool.
So things don't go wrong.
Sorry.
At the moment, I have no plans, so
Maybe you're not a 7.
I don't like the feeling of being settled.
Sorry.
I don't like the feeling of being settled.
You don't like the feeling of being settled.
No.
And it might be, I was sitting with it, that I was really like reflecting on it, that it could be a way to just, escape, because there were like, I don't know, through breath work, there were some things coming to the surface that I decided to, I'll have time to integrate it, jumping to another thing that was also like something that was putting something outside. So to me, like, if we don't integrate, which is the most important part in my opinion, then we can just fly, around, but it's very close to escapism, which again, I was living for so many years in my life. So, and I know that it suppressed my freedom. I'm very aware that it suppressed my freedom, because it's also like it's a sort of like defense mechanism. It's pleasurable, usually joyful, because you're attending nice events, you're hanging out with friends, but hey, have some me time for integration so that you don't escape what is there to feel again.
I mean, Kerala's fun. I've heard great things about Kerala. I've never been. It is summertime. It's probably the hottest time of the year. I don't know if it's an escape, but it is excitement. It is something new. I've been here for a little over 2 weeks, and I'll tell you this, I'm really bored. No, it's been beautiful. It has been great, but I'm missing the beach. I'm not a mountain girl. I'm more of a coastal girl for sure.
And really asking myself those hard questions, or, are you listening to external information that tells you to only think of yourself, and you don't need a partner, or, like lots of that material that's fed, like depending on what you listen to. And so I felt like I was becoming aware of which ones were an escape and which ones were actually following what I truly needed. And I think I truly needed like deep connection and a sense of community. That's where I kind of got to in all of those decisions. And therefore, like when I found close friends going on a trip together, it was, okay, this is me finding that deep connection whilst learning and opening my mind in a new place, rather than coming from a, I don't want to be in this routine anymore, I'm going to just go and break it in a certain way. So I feel like they can feel like an escape when I'm feeling stuck in a routine or something.
What would it feel like to stay long enough for someone to see all of you? Depth over delight. Phew.
Scary?
Can't believe it. This is like my life in a pill.
It feels, I mean, to the extent of my own experience, which I'm sure will continue to deepen, and I've got so much more to learn.
Well, I'm currently in a relationship. It's been almost a year. It's been many, many years since I've been in a relationship that has evolved over 10 plus months.
Yeah, well, scary. Scary. It's when you learn about yourself and you realize that, wow, it's a lifetime journey to sometimes fully accept yourself as a wholeness, right? And I don't get into this like, new age spirituality, which is like only good vibes, To me, the spiritual path means to go deep into yourself, and going deep into yourself means that you are gonna face your demons and face all the things that were there waiting for you, and they are just not nice. And it's like when you start to work upon yourself, it gets less scary to be vulnerable, to show up with who you are, to express your truth, even though this truth might be uncomfortable for some, especially like your loved ones, a partner or someone that is like popping up in your life, and it's your mirror. So it's like triggers after triggers after triggers. And it feels scary, but it also feels so exciting. I'm in a process now to embrace, a life process, to embrace myself fully. And the more I accept myself, the less I'm scared if someone will accept me. Actually, it's like vanishing, because this is the most important, that I accept myself.
But yeah, I guess to my capacity at the moment, I have a partner who we've been together for like 4 years and have felt many moments of like cracking open and seeing more of each other. And it feels like for me, for someone to see all of me also allows me to see more of me. And it has, it's really deepened my own understanding of myself. And I think, yeah, lots of these questions are much better worded, but like, things that I have had to be aware of because there's someone else seeing all of me and is involved in me. My partner is very different to me in terms of he's very stable, loves sameness, is quite introverted, and allows me to question where my actions are coming from, whether they are seeking external gratification, which and allows me to listen to what I'm actually trying to get out of something. So for me, it feels like if they see all of me, I also am able to see all of me, which sometimes is really hard, obviously, and can feel. I sometimes just freeze in it, and I get stuck in agitation, and I want to push away and find something wrong with him. And then I realize it's because I don't want to look at myself and why I'm doing something. And only really recently, like in the past couple of months, I've been able to see see my insecurities and be open about it, which sounds interesting in a way, but like in the other answers, when I've always felt of having a facade of having it all together, being fun, don't care about what anyone thinks, just love yourself, blah, blah, blah. And recently with my partner, because of the way I was behaving, then I saw, oh my gosh, I'm acting out because I actually want to be seen. And then having to communicate that to him felt really hard, because I've never wanted to be seen as not whole or not loving myself fully, because then that means that I need him to love me, which I've always been like, I don't need you to love me. So I think being fully seen for me feels really, it feels like I can rest, but in that rest, it's like there's layers of stuckness and agitation, and then it crumbles and I can be held. But then there's then other agitations of seeing more, and then I can exhale. So it's almost like a contraction and release, maybe, over and over again. But I feel like I've only really done that, with one person.
Different parts of me have definitely came to surface in the past few months of being in this relationship. Parts of me that I haven't seen in a while, or parts of me that I don't show very often. And it's very uncomfortable. It makes me feel insecure for somebody to see this part of me. And it also feels very liberating to be held in that way and not to be judged, and to be really embraced for who I am fully. So it's deep, and it's beautiful, and it's scary, and it's definitely something worth doing.
Let's say in a romantic relationship now in my life, it's men are seeing the goddess within. But when the Kali comes to place, which is like the shade, they're like, oh, no, this one, maybe not. So an old version of myself would be like, rejected. Hey, like, what do you mean? This is me, like, love me. You take me whole, or you don't take me at all, right? But at the moment, I have this awareness that it's all right. It's all right for people also not to accept you fully. Like, not everyone will be loving you, not everyone will be liking you, not everyone will be your cup of tea in this life, and this is like completely fine. So again, it's like, to me in general, going like deeper into that, generalizing, the main work we all have here, I believe, from my point of view, is to come back to our own harmony. And when this work is done, which is again lifetime or lifetimes, it's just these old things, actually, they don't make sense anymore. Because it's like, I am, and this is high enough. So like it's high enough for me. And so like there is no fear of abandonment, rejection, of not being accepted, not being validated, and so on and so forth. So yeah. And it's beautiful to open up in front of other human, especially. It's a gift that we can do that. So yeah, it's scary when there is so much things to work upon. It gets less scary when the work is in progress. When you are like observing yourself and seeing more and more of yourself.
Who are you when there's nothing new to plan?
No next adventure. Uh-huh.
I haven't seen me with this in a while, actually. I've been traveling for about 3 years. I left California, and I've been on the road, but mostly in some places for a few months at a time. Like, a part of me does like to stay grounded. It's kind of too much to be traveling week to week, place to place. Like, I love to have my own space where I can really set up my altar and feel comfortable and at home in that space. That being said, I did just spend pretty much a year and a half on Copenhagen in Thailand. But the exception of maybe like traveling up north in northern Thailand for a few weeks at some period, going to Australia for a different period, visiting some friends in Hawaii and California during a different period. But for a year and a half, Copenhagen was my home. And I got really bored of it. Like at first it was so exciting. I was able to like ecstatic dances 3-4 times a week, going to the beach every day, connecting with new people, trying out new cafes every day. It's such a beautiful island and I really enjoyed it for the first few months of that stage. But then it got boring, it got stagnant.
Yeah, I am, depending on what's, like if I'm fresh to the stillness, I can settle into it. And I feel I am a lot more, maybe I can, yeah, it really depends in if I'm freshly, like if I have been moving around a lot and then I come to stillness, which I guess, is it stillness if it's short term? I don't know. But I feel like I can access a lot of peace. However, I also question a lot when I'm still. I feel like I question, how can I make the fullest out of this? Well, now that I'm still, I should be, learning something new because I don't have to like be anywhere or do anything. I should be like working on a talent. I should be like baking sourdough. I should be, so a lot of maybe the still self for me is a combination of me constantly trying to allow myself to ground and maybe connect with those I'm with. However, constantly maybe awoken by the pressures of making the most of stillness, if that makes sense.
Maybe when there's no adventure planned, just probably bored. No, I don't want to say bored. Yeah, I'm quite content when there's no adventure plans. I'm quite content with routine,
Yeah.
but not for too long.
I love this state. I literally love this state. And that also took a lot of years to let go of control, because I was like control freak. And when I started to travel, right, it's like, well, you can plan, but it's like, and especially in India, anything can happen on the way. So you have to be ready to just dive into unknown. And I remember like when I first quit everything, sold out everything, and just packed my backpack and went on adventure, there was only the voice in my in my head saying like, it's all right. And it's like, there is so much more than you think it is. But I didn't know what that was. So there was like this fear of diving into unknown. But that was the first time I realized that this is so amazing not to know. Because this way you leave so much space for things to actually come your way. Imagine you have like, okay, I'm going in 20 minutes somewhere and it's already planned. But then someone crossed my path and I just ignore it because I have this purpose. But maybe that someone is your angel, is someone that was about to contribute so much to your life. So now I prefer to stop, pause, and observe and see what am I attracting without this plan in my head, without this control in my head of like, oh, you need to be here and to there. And this way you also release a lot of tension, a lot of pressure. You just, I call it that way, all call it like flow of life, right? And I love it. I love this expression. I love this flow, like a river, not against it or just, effortlessly picking up whatever comes. But answering this question, who am I when there is nothing new to plan? I'd say I am. And this is the most beautiful thing to be.
I noticed after, even after a whole year of being on that island, I just stopped going to ecstatic dances 4 times a week. I just limited it to maybe once or twice a month. I just needed a new project, a new creative thing to be working on. Copenhagen is such a fun place, but it's not a place that I thought I can get like shit done in. It's a small island, and I decided to embark on a new adventure, which is why I'm here in India. And I will be headed to Kerala today, and then just in a week to Australia for a whole new adventure. And you're laughing because this is like typical 7. So who am I when I have no plan? That's the question. I'm boring. I feel like life is actually sucked out of me. Like I don't have that like flair, that excitement, that zest to life. Like I like to portray to the world. I want people to see me as somebody lively. And when I'm in this like stagnancy, I'm not full of that life, and I actually don't feel as attractive. I don't feel very productive. I don't feel very motivated or creative. So consistently finding a new adventure keeps me creative. It keeps me excited about life.
I try to, when I am still, I feel like I try to access a lot more reflection because I'm less distracted by like the things that I'm planning or the things that I'm doing. So I really love writing. And it's funny, I do find a lot of comfort in routine when I'm given the chance. However, it usually only lasts a small amount of time. Yes.
Final question.
And honestly, what if the freedom you're chasing is already inside you, waiting to be still? The paradox of true liberation.
If I'm not moving around though, I don't feel free because I'll be at home and part of a system that I don't want to be in. So to me, that's not a feeling of freedom.
Well, I know this is true. Like, I know we all have the answers inside of us. Like, there's really nowhere to search, nowhere else to look, no other person, no other place, no other thing, no other project. Like, at the core of it, I know that is true. Like, I've experienced it in different altered states of consciousness during spiritual practice. But the reason why I think I still search for something outside of me is it just makes life so much more interesting. It makes connection so much more interesting. You're laughing so hard.
I mean, freedom, all we're chasing is already inside us, I believe. I mean, there is nothing. The external, it's only the reflection of what's inside you. And this is why we have certain experiences, because we have lessons to learn. Once you pass the topic or whatever is there for you, you follow up, right? So to me, it's like, yeah, it's about seeing happiness and freedom and all these beautiful values not outside of yourself, inside of yourself. Same like love, like you will never find it outside. There is no way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is yeah a big question of myself when I, like I said, if I am in that mode of planning and choosing and creating and really trying to question, okay, well, what if like what I'm actually looking for, I can integrate in a different way? Like there was like quite a time where I couldn't travel yet, and I had to write down like, you know, what are you getting from travel? Okay, like open-mindedness, a sense of adventure, new connections. And then I started every day like going to the beach I lived at and like pretending I'm in Switzerland or something, and being like that, all of that way of life actually is my choice, and it's harder to choose when I'm not in a different environment. So it's actually easy to just look for those feelings when you're in a new and exciting adventure. It's easy to be someone new with a new connection, whereas the real challenge is to actually try and embody that wherever you are in everyday life. And I feel like the freedom for me is interesting because I also feel really tied emotionally to, like, freedom for me isn't individual, and in a certain way I don't feel the urge to be free and by myself and like I can do whatever I want. I like to be held accountable in a way of like, whether it's people or things that I care about, and I want to be free of all ties, I guess. But freedom for me means feeling fulfilled, and that's, I guess, what I'm chasing, that feeling of being fulfilled, and whether I can find that in being still, or does new adventures fulfill me in the freedom that they provide. And so yeah, I think the constant, maybe a paradox is the word, is where I can find that, can I find that in stillness?
I'm not sure about the last part though, waiting to be still. I once thought that stillness is the only answer, and I don't believe it anymore. I meditated a lot in my life. I've done so many vipassanas, like I've been on this path for so long. And at the moment, I love to experience life in a movement with open eyes, to really enjoy this playground of life instead of sitting still. But that was a path to that, through stillness. But now, yeah, it's more about movement than stillness in my case.
It's like, what is the point of life other than connecting with people, experiencing the world, creating arts, dancing, trying new foods? Like, I see that as the purpose. And like, we can meditate, we can do vipassana, we can do yoga, We can be in stillness, and that's great. It has its place, but to be alive is to explore.